present one of the technologies from my lab, which is very dear to my heart for a variety of reasons, which I would try and tell while I take you along with me. मैं सोच रही थी काफ़ी young लोग होंगे, but I see some people who are my age group as well here, and I hope several of us would remember कि बाहर खेलने जाते थे बचपन में, गिर के आते थे, गोडे जो थे नीज वुंड्स हो जाते थे, और मम्मा आते ही कटोरी में देसी घी गरम करके उसमें हल्दी डालती थी, रूह का फंबा होता था कॉटन का, एंड शी वुड फर्स्ट ओवरकम आवर एप्रीहेंशंस मूविंग फ्रॉम द साइड्स ऑफ द वुंड, एंड देन शी वुड प्लेस इट ऑन द वुंड एंड वॉज द पेन वॉज गॉन, द वुंड वुड हील एंड देयर वुड बी नो इन्फेक्शंस. बरसातों में और भी ज़्यादा हो जाता था. हम सब विमेन जब हमने कान छिदवाए, पियर्सिंग कराई नोज़ की, कानों की, एंड अगेन दी जो सुनियारा था उसने रिकमेंड किया कि जाके देसी घी और हल्दी की टकोर कर लेना, एंड देयर वर नो इन्फेक्शंस. सो आई एम श्योर सेवरल ऑफ अस हैव यूज दिस. सो लेकिन अब आज के वर्ल्ड, ओके आई डिडंट मूव इट, ओके, सो बट टुडे I don't have anything against the younger generation. जो माएँ हैं शायद फेथ भी नहीं है उतना दादी माँ के नुस्खों में, और हल्दी गेट्स मेसी, एंड जो बच्चे हैं वो भी उतना हाथ नहीं आते. सो आई थिंक इफ़ वी कैन use that folklore information. So I'm a scientist. I believe in proving things, giving a scientific rationale to things. But as a scientist, I really appreciate the observational data. So कोई भी scientist बनने के लिए keen observation बहुत ज़रूरी रहती है. And I feel all this, दादी माँ के नुस्खे, the folkloric information is based on hundreds of years of observational data. So as a scientist, I feel privileged, and I also feel कि ये मेरी ड्यूटी बनती है कि मैं उसमें साइंटिफिक रैशनल ढूंढने की कोशिश करूं, सिफ्ट आउट व्हाट इज़ साइंटिफिक, लेट गो ऑफ व्हाट इज़ जस्ट mythological, and try and see how we can use that information. So that is what goes behind curcumin. So haldi, we talk, so anybody would say तो तुमने क्या नया किया. So haldi we all know, but that is haldi. Haldi में the yellow component is in a very small quantity, and that is what we talk of as curcumin. And you talk of curcumin, और दुनिया की जो प्रॉब्लम एक मॉलिक्यूल में हो सकती है वो curcumin में है. So we all remember हल्दी का दाग लग जाता था तो you would put some soap on it, it would turn red, put it out in the sunlight and the color goes. So photodegradation is a problem with curcumin. Alkaline and pH-based degradation is a problem with curcumin. You cannot dissolve curcumin. The solubility is like very, very low. It is a totally insoluble drug. Absorption नहीं है, bioavailability नहीं है, stability नहीं है. So there are 101 problems with curcumin. So the first part of my study was to try and develop a system which would address all these issues with curcumin, and we prepared curcumin loaded solid lipid nanoparticles. Why lipidic? Because अभी भी याद है, दूध में हल्दी डालो, थोड़ा सा देसी घी डाल दो, हिलाओ और पियो. So I wanted to retain that flavor of the folkloric, observational data. So I wanted, we have polymeric nanoparticles. People have been, working with curcumin and its nanoparticles. So we know it works. We have been there. So, but I wanted to develop the solid lipidic nanoparticles, and the data we presented and published as well shows it. We compared it with existing nanoparticulate delivery systems in the literature as well as in the market, and we could establish it to be much better on all the fronts, may it be solubility, may it be stability, may it be degradation studies, may it be bioavailability and things like that. So we filed a patent for that. We have an Indian patent application pending, European, US, and Canadian patent applications filed against curcumin-loaded solid lipid nanoparticles. And so, अब कोई मुझे कहेगा बनाएगा कौन इसको? So that is also solved. We've already licensed the technology to an industry, and we are at a stage where we have prepared some exhibit batches and we are going in for regulatory filings. We did prepare a dossier. There were some objections. So that company is ready to provide curcumin nanoparticles as a raw material for anyone who wants to work further. So the next thing, again, which is very close to my heart, were probiotics. क्यों प्रोबायोटिक्स? आज के डेट में पिछले साल से नेचर में कोई वॉल्यूम ऐसा नहीं जा रहा जिसमें माइक्रोबायोम की बातें नहीं हो रही, एंड देयर इम्प्लीकेशंस इन वेरियस डिजीजेस एंड डिजीज स्टेट्स. Why? The number of microbiological, like these organisms, this microbiome cells which are present in my body far exceeds my normal human mammalian cells. So naturally they have an influence on the human system, and right from immunology to infections to, you talk of anything, nowadays we are talking of all metabolic diseases and we say probiotics are working. We are talking of cancers and we say the microbiome is responsible. We talk of neurodegeneration and microbiome. So two major places for microbiome: skin and the gut. So I here address the skin microbiome. So I wanted to work with a probiotic, and we took up Lactobacillus plantarum, which is known to be a very beautiful antimicrobial agent because it produced several materials including plantaricin. And why the combination? So again, we started because we wanted to complement the two molecules and see how they work. And in addition to that, we are now talking of prebiotics. So prebiotic is anything which would enhance the growth of the probiotics. Sab kehte hain fiber diet low. So what is that? That is going to promote my gut flora and get me a healthy flora. So those prebiotics are carbohydrate based, but now there is another challenge where people are talking that carbohydrate prebiotic would also promote the growth of pathogens. So now we are looking at non-carbohydrate prebiotics where a lot of phytochemicals were being evaluated. We worked with ginger initially, and then we thought, why not curcumin? And there were some papers where curcumin was known to be a prebiotic. So that was the rationale why we tried to complement Lactobacillus plantarum with curcumin. So we thought curcumin is a beautiful anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, analgesic, antioxidant, and probiotic would handle the therapeutic issues in addition to being an anti-inflammatory and an antimicrobial. So that's from where we started. So recently we had two publications in Nature where people are saying that presence of people used pullulan-based nanoparticles and they could enhance the metabolomics of Lactobacillus plantarum, inducing an increased plantaricin. So, but it did not happen with pullulan, so something to do with nanoparticles. And then when they incorporated curcumin pullulan nanoparticles, the plantaricin production was increased further. So that gives me the actual proof of concept for the combination. So we combined the two systems, and then the next issue was that curcumin solid lipid nanoparticles are now liquid, and they would flow when I apply on the skin. Same would be for the probiotic suspension or dispersion. Again, it is flowable. And to provide a fresh dispersion to the patient, dose step is going to be a limitation. So I needed to develop a system which could incorporate both of them, and that is where I picked up a few polymers. Now the issue was polymer would be either water soluble or an organic solvent. I did not want to use the organic solvent because I had an edge with my curcumin solid lipid nanoparticles which were totally aqueous and no organic solvent was employed. And then water soluble polymer I could pick up, but the curcumin solid lipid nanoparticles have a lipidic component as well and are hydrophobic in nature as well. So I had to select suitable polymers which would go into my curcumin solid. Another beautiful thing with these solid lipid nanoparticles were they were autoclavable. So if I want to handle infected wounds and I want a sterile product, which I would want if I want to put probiotic into it, then that can also be managed. So I would need just 1 minute more. So I prepared polymeric solution and autoclaved it separately, and I did all the optimization studies, design of experiments on it, and then I would disperse my probiotic into it at a ratio of 10^7 or 10^8 cells, combine my curcumin solid lipid nanoparticles, and this is the type of dressing I could. So I mix the two and I lyophilize them. So I can use different molds, different sized molds, and different, I can also use trays to produce dressings of different size. The beauty of the system was that it showed a very beautiful antibiofilm activity where we could remove, so we could do away with the Staph aureus biofilm when I used a combination of the two at a much lower MIC than I could see for curcumin nanoparticles and probiotic alone. And then in the last slide, that is the L part, last one. So there the probiotic developed its own biofilm in my study. So that was what I wanted to show. And the commercialization, I feel, would take around 2 years, starting from where we scale up. Curcumin SLNs are already scaled up. Then dossier preparation for DCGI, and we have to look if we need the clinical studies. Then identify suitable buyers for the technology, for which I'm here today in front of you, or look up some angel investors, or we could also collaborate with the industry to file for any government fundings. So that's all I want to say. So wound healing, also we did preclinical studies, and this is something about me for my credibility. I have already transferred 4 of my technologies. I have 15 patents granted to me, and thank you.